As part of my seminary program, I spent last year teaching golf to children. We were tasked with the responsibility of spending several hours each week in a nonprofit that stretched our growing edges as an opportunity to learn from people and environments that were unfamiliar to us. I had spent the past few years working mainly with people experiencing homelessness, and I was looking for an opportunity to grow and learn something new. I looked at a list of nonprofits in the area and almost immediately knew that this would be the site that stretched me the most. I had little experience working with children and zero experience in an athletic environment, and I found myself very curious to see the game of golf up close because I really hadn't spent much time considering golf at all. From day one, everyone I met welcomed me into their community. It was almost as if they wanted to have a coach with no golfing experience, so they could have another person to teach about the wonderful world of golf. But I never felt out of place or talked down to or pressured into taking up the game full time. I felt respected and appreciated. I felt like part of the team, that my presence mattered. Even as the head coaches were teaching me the very basic fundamentals of golf alongside the players would still come to me with questions and really listen to my answers. I have to admit, I was initially surprised by this. I had assumptions about the assumptions they would have of me, and that was not fair. And as I would soon learn, fairness is important in the game of golf. I have so much respect for the coaches and players that I worked with, and I am forever grateful for the warmth and compassion they showed for me each and every week, and for every other person we encountered in our weekly sessions. I must admit, when I first started at my site, I was unsure. I was used to working in a building with no windows on Skid Row with adult women. Here I was on a golf course surrounded by grass, teaching young children. On the surface, the two could not have been more different. But what I saw each week surprised me. Both places had laughter and learning and sharing in common. Both places were about creating opportunity and safety for the participants. The coaches treated every player with respect and courtesy and provided resources for those who had less than some of the others. For instance, most of the players had their own golf clubs, but if they didn't, they were given clubs, not to borrow, but to keep. If a player needed extra assistance, the coaches were more than happy to stay after and teach them the skills they needed. And they also helped people who had excelled beyond the classes but were ready for other requirements. I have no illusions that golf is perfect or that it does not have more than its fair share of privilege. But I was able to find unexpected community there, a community I will always remember, that shared a lot of the same values as me. As I came to get to know the coaches and players, I was able to see that we can care for one another in almost any context. The people I worked with may not feel had home in a religious community, but they found a way to create connection in a different way. In my time as a golf coach, I can't say that I really learned a whole lot about golf. I'm still terrible at playing the game. But I've come to learn so much more about what it means to be in a community. It means that we have a place to respect ourselves, respect others, and respect our environment. I've learned that sometimes friendships can be found in places we never imagined possible. Together we can find what we do have in common and learn from each other's stories and ideas. Being part of a community is what calls me here today. My faith rests in being with others and learning and growing together and supporting one another in times of trouble and celebrating in times of joy. I believe that knowing one another is the most important action we can take to understand our own lives. I will never have the opportunity to know anybody's entire story, and they will never know all of mine. But what we can learn is still monumental. When I meet someone new and we begin to build a connection, I want to step into their world and understand where they find and make meaning and what they love and what they hate. I want to honor the stories that make them who they are. Each person is so different, and for that reason, each of us makes meaning in a different way. I feel the divine most when I interact with a person and they make me see something ordinary as something amazing, or show me where their faith lies. In that moment, we covenant to be together and share what the divine is to us. I agree to walk alongside others as they move and grow through life and faith formation. Without others, I have no idea where I would be or what my life would look like. I know that I would not be where I am today, standing in front of you, starting my time in a new community, ready to build new connections. I am lucky enough to have been able to find a place and a community for myself most places that I have gone, even as I moved from state to state. To do this, I usually started by looking for people with whom I had something big and vital in common. This was mostly successful, even if we were different from one another in almost every other way. I expected to learn a lot in my time as a golf coach, but I did not expect to find the community and connection that I did. I thought that big, vital commonality might be missing. I thought they would look at me and softly shake their heads and give me the responsibility of chasing the geese away to keep me from sharing the terrible habits of somebody who knows nothing about golf. But I could not have been more wrong, and I regret that I ever thought that would be the case. It turns out that big, vital, common thing we had was respect. Each week, we had a different core value that we would focus on. These values were honesty, integrity, sportsmanship, judgment, confidence, responsibility, perseverance, courtesy, and respect. It soon became apparent that respect was the value that grounded all the others. And although we only had 1 week of lessons centered around it, it was also the value that started us at the beginning of each and every session. We were able to create community by focusing on what we called the 3 R's: respect for ourselves, respect for others, and respect for our surroundings. We taught the players, and sometimes learned for ourselves, that respect for ourselves meant speaking up when something wasn't right and asking for help, but also being proud when something went right or we mastered a new skill, honoring our own worth and dignity. Respect for others meant listening to everybody, taking turns, shaking hands at the end of each session, and accepting and encouraging each other. Respect for our surroundings meant leaving the course cleaner than the way we found it and repairing all the holes that we put in the grass. And there were a lot. This was supporting our web of existence. The more I listened to my coaches and players' examples of what respect meant to them, the more I found what they were saying to resonate with our own 7 principles. We covenant to respect one another's inherent worth and dignity and to honor our own search for truth and meaning. It is impossible to go through that search alone. I've learned that respect is centered around the idea that none of us has the whole truth and none of us has all the answers to all of life's questions. But each and every one of us holds pieces of that truth and some of the answers. And if we understand that, when we are together, we can begin to uncover more of our own truth and meaning. Each new community we are a part of and each new person we meet gives us a little more of the truth, so we are ever closer to finding that greater truth for ourselves. We cannot know what another person or group of people can share with us until we are open to that possibility. As caddy and long-term golf teacher Harvey Pennick said, "Be friendly, forget yourself. Stop thinking about I. Listen to other people, keep interested in everyone else, caddies and members and all. Find out what they are doing and what they are about." Although I don't think we need to or should forget about ourselves, by seeing what others are about, we can see what we are about. We can grow from what others share with us by looking to understand what they are passionate about. Our lives can change by meeting a person we never expected we would know. We can discover new insights into ourselves and our experiences. We can learn how to disagree with integrity and kindness. Every person I taught golf to and who taught me golf had had an entire life before they set foot on that golf course. The same goes for everyone here today. We have ended up here because it is part of our search for truth and meaning. We have ended up here because we have something to share. We end up in the places we need to be to discover more about ourselves and our stories and our lives that we hold dear. Each of us holds a bigger part of the truth, and we are here today to share our truths with one another. None of us have followed the same path as anyone else. But at this moment, all of our separate paths have connected, and we are together now. If I, a person who knows nothing about golf, can find a community and a group of golf enthusiasts, community and connection are possible everywhere we look. I never expected that one day I would be standing up here telling you about the impact that a sport had on my life. It just goes to show that we can find support and community in the most unlikely of situations. If we remember the 3 R's, respect for ourselves, respect for others, and respect for our surroundings, we will be set as we move forward in our new and deepening connections. We will be able to see ourselves and others as part of the greater whole. Now that I am part of your community, I look forward to showing you the same respect I had for my golf coaches and players. I want to hear your stories and see what defines your truth. Thank you for letting me join you on this journey.